Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Sports show here on Calon 105FM. Conor Porter taking over the reins today. Jamie Davies has gone away. Up to Scotland he goes. But we've got a studio filled with heroes nevertheless, as always. Adam Davies, Joe Stanley and Mr. Andrew Pollard here to talk about the World Cup. We're in the semi-final stages now. England are in the semi-finals. Oh my God, I can't believe it. They were going to be playing against Croatia in a couple of days' time. We've got France versus Belgium as well. We're going to be reviewing the quarter-final games as well that took place over the last weekend and more coming up on the Let's Talk Sports show here on Calon 105FM. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Sports show here on Calon 105FM. That was All Together Now by The Farm, and we're in the World Cup mood here in the studio because it is the last ever week of the 2018 FIFA World Cup taking place in Russia. And as we all know, England are still in the competition. Can you believe it, guys? It's been unbelievable, Adam, hasn't it? I mean, what an incredible couple of weeks for England. Incredible.
I'm still in disbelief. My mind and voice, obviously, is still in a bit of shock. But I would be ecstatic, but I'm still pessimistic because you've got to be like that. Because I was pessimistic about the quarter-final, and we got through. So if I carry on like that, then we might get to the final.
Maybe. Keep that pessimistic going, you know. Keep being unsure about things. Joe, how are you feeling? One of three Englishmen here in the studio. We'll get on to the Welshman in just a second, but how are you feeling about England pushing on? A good performance against Sweden and a good performance against Colombia as well, because we haven't been here since then. Exceeding expectations, nevertheless.
Yeah, it's a mix of excitement and obviously nerves, because it's like, what's going on? England semi-final, could be in the first final.
Yeah, first final since 1966 it would be.
Something that I never thought.
First semi-final since 1990.
Never thought I'd see that in my lifetime. England possibly in a World Cup final. Croatia are a hard side, but I think we might have enough, because the benefit for England was the fact that they went all the way through extra time and penalties, and some of the players were just dead on the feet. So hopefully that's a good thing for England. I've got a bit of confidence in the side now. I thought Sweden they were struggling against, but 2-0 against Sweden was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The penalties, finally with a penalty shootout, all the stars finally coming to an alignment, and England's going to do something.
It feels like it's going to be our year. It's going to be our year, as Liverpool fans would say.
I'm not going to use that.
Andrew, have you managed to find your receipts on your Colombia and Sweden shirts to take them back to Sports Direct and to get that Croatia shirt for Wednesday night?
Well, in fairness, as a Welshman, I'm used to not having a team, a dog in the hunt, as it were, with tournaments. So before a tournament, I always pick a team to follow, makes it more exciting. Normally it's Holland, but obviously this time there's no Welsh, there's no Dutch. So it was Croatia just because of their funky shirts. So it's kind of, I'm all right with this. I've got this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that it's England's to lose the whole tournament. But then you've got four teams left in it now, all famous for bottling it on the big stage. So the four teams that are left in it, Belgium, France, Croatia, England, any one of them could win it if they turn up. But they've all got a propensity to choke.
Certainly could, and we'll preview the semi-final games later on in the show. So don't make sure you don't go away to miss that. But for now, we'll go back to the quarterfinal stages and look at how France, Belgium, Croatia and England got to the semi-final stages. Of course, France beating Uruguay by 2-0 on the Friday in the early game there. Varane and Griezmann. Griezmann, a little bit of a lucky goal against the Galatasaray Uruguay goalkeeper. Through his hands.
Moment, I think.
Probably the worst save of the tournament, I would think.
Worst save of the whole season.
It's there with De Gea's.
Game. I forgot about that one against Portugal.
Muslera's normally a rock at the back for him, so it was a bit of a surprise. And Griezmann even almost felt embarrassed. He didn't really celebrate. It was just like, I've scored.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry about that.
He did it a few years ago, didn't he, in a friendly against Spain? Was it Qatar or something? Fabregas hit it from about 25-30 yards out, and it's just gone through his gloves and into the net. But that was a friendly. This is the World Cup. It's much more important.
It was I think Uruguay, it's obvious to say, but they missed Cavani massively. It's strange to say when you've got Luis Suarez in your team, but they look toothless. They have no bite. But it was a Uruguay were poor. I think they were just relying on being stalled at the back and trying to get something on the counter. But yeah, it was too easy for France. It was almost like it was a nothing game, really.
Yeah,
apart from the tears.
We'll come back to it in just a sec. I'll just read out the rest of the results, and we'll come back to the Uruguay-France game. Belgium beating Brazil by 2-1. Fernandinho getting things off for Belgium. With an own goal, of course. Kevin De Bruyne with an absolutely fantastic strike. Could be one of the goals to the tournament. And then Renato Augusta got a late header on with around about 15 minutes left in the game to give Brazil a little bit of hope. But unfortunately, just like Neymar, they'll be rolling themselves out of the World Cup this past weekend. Of course, we're moving on to Saturday, and the whole country came to a standstill in England for Sweden versus England. And Harry Maguire, not Harry Kane, Harry Maguire, scored a absolutely fantastic bullet header to put England ahead. And then once more, we had a little bit of he should have probably saved it for the Swedish goalkeeper against Dele Alli's header. It kind of went through his hands in his save. Close range, maybe. Yeah. You could let him off of that. And then finally, we kicked rounded things off on the weekend with Russia versus Croatia. 2-2 it finished there after extra time. Went to penalties, and Croatia once more have won 2 penalty shootouts now at the World Cup. So, England have got the 1, but Croatia got the 2. So if it goes to extra time on Wednesday, it could be dangerous.
Croatia have also got 2 sets of 120 minutes in their legs. So.
That is true.
And they looked absolutely knackered on their feet for extra time. For the last half an hour of the game, in fairness.
That is true.
So that's going to be in your favour as well. There you go.
All right, let's jump back to the Uruguay-France game. And, we already talked about a little bit about it, about how Cavani's absence from the squad was... certainly played into a lot to the result on the game, on the day. But, Adam, do you think it would have made much of a difference if Cavani was in that game against this France squad? Because finally it looks like it's starting to click, isn't it?
A huge difference. As much as France, they were good, but I still think if Cavani was there, I think was Wales... sorry.
Whoa.
France...
Let me just get some salt rub into that one.
If France would have played to their best, they'd have overwhelmingly beat Uruguay, but I don't think they did play to their best.
No, I don't. I honestly I don't think they got out of second gear, in my opinion.
No. I think with Cavani though, even if he played and he didn't even have a good game, I think just the presence of him there, the threat. That's especially. Rafael Varane is one of the best centre halves in world football, but. Titty, no, thank you. He's just a walking car crash of a footballer. I think if Cavani's in and around him, I think the pressure on him could cause him to have a bit of a blip. But it was like you said though, Connor. I think France didn't necessarily get out of second gear and didn't really need to. It was at first 20 minutes or so, Mbappe was untouchable again, and it was all very formulaic, paint by numbers. No real pressure. It was just, we're going to turn up, we're going to play, and we're going to do all right. I'm just going to do enough to get through.
Yeah, I mean, the replacement striker that they had for Uruguay was Stivani. Yeah. I think the commentator said, he used to play for Middlesbrough. And then straight away I was like, right, this game's done.
He scored a boatload for Middlesbrough when they got up from the Championship, but then he was played on the right wing.
Because I think I remember one of the through balls that he had with like a 1-2 with Suarez, and he put the ball like way too far ahead of him, and Suarez absolutely belated into him for that incident. But it's like, it's such a struggle for Uruguay because they are such a small country, but they do have a lot of football talent that does come out of it. Suarez, Cavani, Forlan, just a couple of names over the years. But going up against a team like France, we have to give credit to France as well for the fact that they didn't really push on beyond second gear, Joe. I mean, Mbappe is incredible, and so is Griezmann. 2 prolific strikers for France in this team. If you shut down one, the other's going to go on and keep on pushing forward. It's like it's such a promising sign for France and for their football team. After that abysmal Euro 2016 where they lost in the final in their home country.
Yeah, like I said before the tournament, France, I predict them to win it. Obviously, they've got a bright future, their team, because they've got a good young side. Most of the players are young, isn't it? The average age of 24 or something like that.
Sounds about right.
I think it's like 25. I think it's like the same level as England, 25.
So it's the sort of age you want for your squad. You don't want too old. Argentina was too old, and obviously... And Mbappe's pace is just terrifying. You saw what he did to Argentina. He tore Mascherano a new one.
I think I could do that these days, and I've never had any pace.
And it's just unreal what some of the players can do. You've got Griezmann who scores goals for fun. He's staying at Atletico Madrid, which is a big boost for them when he comes back next season. he was in demand from various clubs across Europe. You've got Mbappe, who could be linked with Madrid this summer, depending on whether that Ronaldo transfer goes through.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, you've got key players in every position. Obviously, Titi's one of those where you're a bit like...
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously, solid goalkeeper in Lloris. And then throughout the whole team, they've got key players in every... big players for every area, playing for big clubs, and that's a benefit for them. And, obviously, a bit disappointed with Uruguay, because you expect them to put up more of a fight, but... Like you said, they didn't get out second gear.
Yeah, I mean, it was Jimenez's foul near the end of the game. You could just see him crying in the wall.
I thought Gary Neville was really harsh.
He was really harsh.
Ripping into him for crying.
I mean, at the age of these days of mental health, to say, you shouldn't be crying like that.
Yeah, and also when Muslera dropped the ball through his hands, he should be saving that. It's a football, not a firebomb. It's like, all right, G-Nev, what's going on there? And when he was having to go at the Uruguayans for hounding around the referee, it's like, you kind of made a career of that at Man United for years.
Yeah. I agree with it, though. I agree with what he's saying. You shouldn't go around the referee. If I was the referee, I'd book every single one of those players.
But like Gary Neville, United were famous for doing that for donkey's years. But I think with France, though, go back to France, I think while Griezmann gets the headlines and Mbappe, I think one of the unsung heroes is Olivier Giroud. I think he allows those players.
You got a lot of kicking against Uruguay, didn't you?
He's prepared to take that. He's a focal point that he distracts the defenders, whether you play into him or not. But he's there as that option, which allows the freedom for Mbappe and Griezmann behind him. I think he's had a really good, a nice and quiet under the radar tournament where I think he's the key figure for them, as bizarre as that sounds. I think if he's not there, then the others struggle to play the fluid football that they're trying to do.
That he's not scored.
I don't think he's, as bizarre as it sounds for a striker, I don't think he's there to score. He's there just to
be the distraction.
To lay up.
Yeah, he's there to allow others to score. He's very very selfless with his play. Yeah, I think he's their star unscoring striker, as it were.
All right,
moving swiftly on.
Moving on, let's move on to France's opponents for the semi-final, which is, of course, Belgium, after winning 2-1 against Brazil. Brazil considered one of the favourites, Adam, to win the tournament overall because of how, Neymar's been on the world stage for Barcelona and PSG over the years. They've got Coutinho, who's having a good career with Liverpool and Barcelona. Fernandinho is a key piece of the City winning team. So many good players, but they've really failed to turn up at this tournament, haven't they?
All tournament they failed to turn up. I mean, you can't say just won the game because even though they went through in the groups, they never really turned up. And I've just got that feeling that the way they play, the way Neymar has set it out to play, it's almost like go down all the time. If they wouldn't go down, then the referee wouldn't, because the last game against Belgium, I believe it was a penalty when they went down.
Oh, Jesus. Gabriel Jesus.
It was a penalty. Yeah. But because there's so much diving from the Brazil side throughout the whole tournament, the referee won't even go to VR because they know. It's like, he's dived. Yeah, that's their fault. That's been their
undoing. His ankle, but he'd gone down holding his face, so it just looked
and it came. I know Belgium played much better, in my opinion, than Brazil. Because they had all the Hazard was harrying them, and they just never had a chance on goal. They brought De Bruyne forward, which helped them out immensely because they had Fellaini covering. I thought that was a good move by Martinez because then you could see.
Said nobody ever credits Martinez. But no, it was.
I got an interesting stat about Martinez. I'll say in a sec.
It's just the fact that he's brought forward, and you could see how much of a difference De Bruyne has made to the whole team. He made it in the game before. Who was it beforehand? Japan. He was making good little moves, setting up Lukaku and all that. But that was when he came forward. So to bring him forward will be a major factor against France.
I think like the loyalty that he had, where the fact in the Japan game it was Chadley coming on and Fellaini coming on that not necessarily changed the game themselves, but they had a massive influence on it. And that Martinez, fair play to him, he just went, right, okay, you guys have done me well in the last game. I'm going to stick with you for this one. You can start, and it worked. Fellaini was brilliant.
That's quite a Sunday league manager approach. You played good in the last game. Let's see how you can do in the start.
Fellaini's been very Sunday league. In my opinion, Fellaini's come on and he has surprised me. He's been, for me, the most surprising player. Because when I've seen him in Manchester United, I haven't really been impressed with him that much. But to see him come on and do really well for Belgium is really impressive.
That's what he is. He's an impact sub.
He's
Didn't he score the equaliser against Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he was at Everton, though, he was when played in a different position because people see him in his big build and his strength, and they think of him as a defensive midfielder, as a holding midfielder. At Everton, he played essentially as a number 10 for a while with Jelavic ahead of him, and he was being all over the top. He was like a force of nature. He was when he was on it, he was unplayable. I remember when they drew 4-4 Man United and that cost him the league, and Fellaini was just running the show, taking the mick out of Rio Ferdinand and I think Vidic at the time.
So he's transfer.
Yeah, it did. It got him his transfer eventually. But yeah, I think Fellaini's again underrated in certain roles, or maybe viewed as a different sort of player to what he is. But Belgium as a whole, it was brilliant to see. It's sad sad what Brazil become. It's sad what the perception of Brazil is these days. Because with every World Cup, the neutrals always like to see Brazil play well. They like to see a Brazilian team full of flair and ingenuity, attacking prowess. And this one, I think it got to the point after the first play, the second game, where just the antics of Neymar, you're thinking, I don't want to see this team go through. No, I'm all right. And also, Joe, your man, Bobby Firmino, why has he not been starting more games for him? He was Gabriel Jesus again, who's offered nothing. And Firmino's been coming on and having an impact and can't seem to get a full start.
There's the argument that Tite, because he managed Jesus at... Is it? I can't remember.
Palmeiras,
yeah,
think,
Palmeiras. That's the club.
Yeah.
Because he managed him as a youngster through the club.
Oh, Corinthians, I think it was. Corinthians.
Whichever side it was.
Yeah.
That's why he picks him, because he knows him better than Firmino. But it's not much right, is it, really? You've got to go, swallow your pride at times and just go and make a change. Because obviously Bobby Firmino's done well for Liverpool. He works the number 9 role well. He brings other players into the game, whereas Jesus is just stands there and expects the ball to
I think Firmino, because he is that deep, he's that forward who drops deep, so it allows your Neymars or Williams to go around in more attacker positions rather than, like you said, Jesus just staying out the way in the box.
I saw Brazil the other week in a friendly before the World Cup, and people said to me, what's it like? I said, yeah, it's a good experience, but I said they weren't exactly brilliant until Neymar come on in the second half.
Is that the Croatia game?
Yeah. And then when Neymar come on and Firmino come on, it just seemed to change because he had a focal point. You had Neymar just bombing it down the left-hand side, cutting in and just tearing the Croatian defenders to shreds. And then he actually had someone to target up front with Firmino, because Jesus started that game and captained the Brazilian side. He wasn't very vocal, and he didn't really do much. Every time he got the ball to feet, he'd lose it. Or his passes were a bit stray passes. Yeah. And I was thinking, what do you see in this? I said, he doesn't do this at City, so what's the difference between City and the national team? What's going on? Yeah. Because there wasn't that much change in tactics, so I don't know.
Yeah, a bit of an undoing really for Brazil to not really play with the man that is arguably in the better form at the World Cup when he comes onto the pitch than Gabriel Jesus. But stat about Martinez, I was going to ring about it. He hasn't lost a competitive game since he was Everton manager.
Wow. Really, really?
He hasn't lost since he played against Sunderland when Sam Allardyce was still their manager. So... I
had to laugh as well because when was it the semi-final? Was it Friday?
The Brazil-Belgium game was Friday night.
Yeah, it was a couple of years since he'd been sacked as Everton manager as well, to the day.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to pull out the Hendo stat then. I honestly thought that Jordan Henderson has the record for the most games in a row undefeated as an England player in the history of English national team. I think 29 games now that he's not been on the losing team.
Well, let's hope that streak keeps on going.
No, we'll end that soon.
But another thing I saw related to Brazil-Belgium was some Mexico team doing a half-time competition where they did rolling basically on the pitch. They call it the Neymar Challenge, and it's basically if you get to one point to the other in the quickest time,
It's just embarrassing.
But maybe if the weather cools down a bit, we can have a go at the Neymar Challenge ourselves later on today.
Have you seen the training? The Sunday League teams that have been doing training. They've been training little kids. They've been running around the pitch and dribbling with the ball. Manager shout Neymar, and the kids jump in the air, grab the leg, and start screaming.
It's like Drogba back in the day. Yeah, you'd be like that. You're pulling a Drogba, and these days it's pulling.
I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can just live your day-to-day life. Obviously, with a massive wedge of money in your back pocket, but how can you just not be embarrassed at your behaviour if you're doing that? It's. I don't know if I'm maybe too old school in my football approach.
The worst thing for me is when he went off the pitch in what game and he told the ref that I'm in charge.
Oh,
that for me is a sending off offence.
Yeah,
that was absolutely ridiculous. I hated that, and I've hated Neymar ever since.
He's not been well liked, and he's not really done well much for his reputation at this World Cup, has he?
No, I wouldn't be touching him if I was. He's been linked with a move to Real Madrid. If Ronaldo goes, like, nah, I'm all right. I'd be passing on that.
Yeah.
Then I'd be giving the focal point to Gareth Bale at Real Madrid. Clearly,
you'd rather have Mbappe or Griezmann as well.
Yeah,
right. Right, Sweden versus England. We all know how this finished, especially Andrew. 2-0 to England, and Harry Maguire and Dele Alli getting on the score sheet. Both of them with fantastic headers from set pieces, I do believe, maybe. Harry Maguire has been absolutely fantastic in this tournament, hasn't he, guys? You know, absolutely stellar defender. Potentially has improved his transfer price by a big margin. I would say close to like 70 million now or something like that. But, you know, he certainly is a great player.
No, he is.
Yeah, he's built his thing. He's at Leicester, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's at Leicester.
Yeah, he won't be at Leicester next
Phil
year.
Johnson said the other day that Liverpool should stick 50 million towards Leicester and put him with Van Dijk.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, before the tournament started, he's been linked with Man City. We're looking at him, Man United, I think Arsenal, and he's not. I think with Arsenal, they I don't know, they don't like to go for basic standard centre halves really. Whereas he's just an old school centre half, but he can bring the ball out. I think you could argue he's been the defender.
I love it when a centre back runs at a centre forward. I love it.
It's just
because he's not scared, and he's not scared of you going back.
You've got to pick your fights over that.
Yeah,
if you lose a ball, you're knackered. But he's done well, Maguire, and he's got a head like a cement slab. Cross with potato. But I think he'll be off. I don't know about 70, but Liverpool could do far worse than getting him. Man United are crying out for a centre half. Man City, for some reason, want more centre halves. I think if he wanted to go, if he forced it, I think he'd have arguably his choice of clubs in the Premier League anyway, at least.
Yeah, I definitely hope that he moves on at some point or another, because I don't want him to fall into like the same trap as other players and, you know, stick at the club and then not get to the highest of the career ladder, which they could do in their football careers. Let's talk about two players in particular, because I want to talk about these two players. One of them is Dele Alli, and the other one is Raheem Sterling. And, you know, Raheem Sterling's been given a lot of stick, especially by people on social media and whatnot, for, you know, not really taking his chances in front of goal. And we've seen it throughout many times in this tournament so far. Panama is a big one that stuck out for me as well as the Sweden game, because he had that one-on-one opportunity.
Tunisia, the very first game.
And Tunisia as well. Adam, how do you feel Sterling's playing in this tournament? Do you feel as though he's having a good tournament, or how do you feel about it?
I feel indifferent. Because some days he'll play poor, and then I was not happy with him in points at Sweden, because he'd run at the keeper and he'd got past the keeper, but then he couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And instead of passing the ball back to Harry Kane, if he passed back to him, he'd have put it in the back of the net. But no, he tries to do it again. I respect him for it, to try and go on and try and put the goal in the back of the net, but sometimes you've got to be working as a team instead of just as a sole individual.
Yeah.
Because he had a point to prove. He's probably looked on social media, gone, oh, he's not doing very well. And then he thought, oh, if I put the ball in the back of that net, I'm going to prove him wrong. Which I can't blame him for, because he wants to do it.
Yeah.
But I just felt he needed that little pass back just to help the team out instead of going forward and try and prove a point, personally. But he's been a fast-paced player, and he's been better starting. I mean, I know he started more games than Rashford, but as a whole to start, he's played better, considering Rashford started against Belgium.
Yeah,
Second
the reserve
team,
Belgium.
And he never impressed against the reserve Belgium team, which sort of led me to believe, yes, he's a good player, but he's more of an impact player.
Right.
But Sterling from the start isn't a bad shout, but I haven't necessarily been impressed.
Okay, fair enough. Joe, does Sterling really need like a goal then to get his confidence back up, really, and to get the fans back onto his side? Because, you know, a lot of people don't see the off-the-ball movement that he makes, you know, creating space with his pace and, you know, dragging defenders away to open up the field for all the likes of, you know, Dele Alli and Harry Kane moving forward and that. But do you think Sterling really needs a goal to get the fans back on his side in this World Cup?
I think a goal would be a nice, confident boost for him. And sure, I heard the other day that he hasn't scored for England in 3 years.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that. I thought he'd scored more recently. I thought it was more like a year. But yeah, he's he's one of those. He's been a hit and miss, like as Adam said. People don't recognise what he does off the ball, because off the ball he makes those runs, he pulls away defenders and creates a space for Kane and Ali to run into. Interesting stat on how he came after mentioning him was he scored on every day of the week at the World Cup bar Wednesday. So let's see what happens on Wednesday.
So it's just turned into a Craig David song.
That's what I was going to say as well.
But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, with all the publicity before the World Cup with his tattoo and all that nonsense, it's interesting because he's focused on playing football, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He's not like that affected. He's just got on with the game and he's performed really well. Wouldn't be surprised if England make it to the final, like he scores in the final or something ridiculous.
Scores the winner.
Gets all this abuse for not scoring for the.
He'll become back a national hero.
Next minute he scores in the final.
Sir Raheem Sterling.
I was thinking the same the other day. I'd love England to win the World Cup for Gareth Southgate, because 1996 he took some abuse for missing that penalty. Young lad who misses the penalty, England go out, becomes the manager, brings it home in 2018. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
That would be brilliant. That would be brilliant. Andrew, Dele Alli, in large part, in my opinion, he's kind of been on the same level as Sterling. He's.
I think he offers less than Sterling so far.
Yeah,
if anything.
Because I feel as if the goal on Saturday against Sweden really overshadowed how much of a contribution he's made at the World Cup.
Yeah,
now, I know that he missed a few games because of the hamstring and whatnot, but, you think about it, a player of his quality going against, Tunisia and Colombia, and Sweden, barring the one goal, should be producing more than that, shouldn't he?
Totally. I think it must. I think I don't know. I think with Dele Alli, it was his performance kind of epitomised England, I think, as a whole on Saturday. I think it was professional. It did the job, but. It wasn't great, but it's the quarterfinals of the World Cup. As long as you get through, that's the main thing. But I think with Dele Alli in particular, he didn't have a great game. It did paper over the cracks a little bit, but that's kind of what he's made a career on. Not necessarily having great games, but he'll get important goals. So that's a kind of part of the course what you expect from it in a way. But it does mirror Sterling a little bit. I think Sterling is just, his confidence seems absolutely knackered right now. But I think for the Sweden game though, if it was down to me, obviously Dele Alli turned up and got the second goal. But I'd have gone with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think. As a more physical presence, and he is a bit more direct, and he offers more in general play, in open play. But what do I know? Dele Alli scored and he went 3-2-0. So there's that. But it was very. It was a very predictable game. It was just a case of, we saw it for the first 2 minutes. You could literally see the lines of 4-4-2 with the Swedes all in their half, and it was just a case of England. If England got that first goal, Sweden would be knackered, and that is exactly what happened. But yeah, Dele Alli, Raheem Sterling. I think Southgate will stick with him all the way through. He's very loyal with his players, which is commendable. But as Joe said, I wouldn't be surprised if Raheem Sterling rattled one in the last minute of the World Cup final. And also the press, they feel like they need to have a scapegoat, or they've got a scapegoat on the back burner should things go wrong. And they're waiting to throw all the vitriol at Raheem Sterling. Should England go out against Croatia? Should England go out in the final? The same with a lot of fans, though. A lot of fans need a scapegoat. Every club has a scapegoat. John Henderson, James Milner. But
Not too much Millie.
If fair's to Hendo, I thought he had a really good game against Sweden. There you go, on record, on air. John Henderson had a good game. I think he's gonna. I know we'll get to it lately, but I think he's gonna need a bit of help against Croatia. But we'll get to that.
Stick or twist with the squad against Croatia, Gareth Southgate. Should he keep the same squad that he's played against Tunisia and Colombia and Sweden that's done so well, or does he need to make any changes, do you think, Joe?
There was talk on Sky Sports this morning of him playing, if Henderson's fit, because he's got their tight hamstring, hasn't he? Him and Dyer together. The two defensive mids to combat Modric and Rakitic, which I thought was quite a good idea. Because going into before I thought that heard that idea, I thought maybe he might stick with it. But I was thinking, actually, it worked against the Netherlands in the friendlies. It worked against Italy, and I think they did it. Was it later on last year when they played Brazil and Germany?
Yeah.
So maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. Or I don't know who they'll take out, but maybe alternate slightly just to combat those two. Because if you take those two out the game for Croatia, their midfield's done.
I don't know. I think Croatia. I think their midfield, even then. because you've got Rakitic, you've got Modric, you've got Brozovic, who tends to start. You've got Kovacic, who can come on off the bench. 4 top level international midfielders.
I wouldn't change it too much.
You wouldn't change it, the squad?
I think
no.
I think
just maybe Loftus-Cheek.
Raheem Sterling strong enough for you?
Just because
he's not
Raheem Sterling's not as good starting. But I'd play Ruben Loftus-Cheek
I think
instead
you need to take Henderson.
Ali.
You need Henderson. Henderson needs some help against that midfield. I don't know if I thought Eric Dyer. I'm a big fan of him, but I thought when he came against Colombia, obviously he scored the winning penalty, but I thought he was really poor. And I don't know. I don't think he's got the football and intelligence to cope with that midfield, the Croatian midfield. So I don't know. I think that's England's biggest problem is how do you combat that Croatian midfield, because they've not got much up front. Mandzukic is so hit and miss. Kramaric, he's all right. But and the defence isn't anything great with Croatia either, really.
I think that pretty much rounds up that Russia-Croatia game pretty well, because 2-2 after extra time. Go to penalties again.
Even though it was
a lot of people said it was dull.
Yeah, it was.
I nearly fell asleep.
The commentary is dull.
Yeah. I thought that.
Who was the commentary?
I think it was
John Champion and Ali McCoy.
Nah.
Oh, I like Ali McCoy.
Nah, couldn't have been them if it was dull commentary.
They were so. I couldn't figure out at first whether it was like a technical error.
Was it Clive Tilsley and Martin Keown? Because I would have been. I wouldn't have.
Or Danny
been
Murphy,
surprised
or
if
Phil
it was
Neville.
dull.
It was like, I thought at first, I couldn't figure out whether if it was a technical error because the commentary seemed to be a little bit behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or what was happening, or whether it was just them having an off day, because it was like with the penalties. It's Fernandes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Fernandes to step up. He hits it wide, and then he's walking back and goes, "Oh, Fernandes has missed it." It was like,
were you watching some illegal stream? Is that it on the internet?
He kept on buffering. He kept on buffering and going to different spots of the game. Right, we're going to go to a music break. But after we come back from the break, we're going to be talking about the World Cup semi-finals. We've got France versus Belgium, and of course, England taking on Croatia. We'll be back after the break, and until then, please enjoy Two Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. That was Two Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. You're listening to the Let's Talk Sports Show here on Calon 105 FM. And of course, we got that Two Tribes feeling going because we have the semi-finals on. It is wartime, folks, in the World Cup. It's all or nothing at these stages of the competition. England taking on Croatia and France versus Belgium. World Cup, more like European Championships. I don't think you've heard that enough over the past couple of days. That's for certain. Ever since Brazil got knocked out, pretty much everyone's been saying that, and it's dying. So let's
got to the same stage of the Euros as Wales.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
No longer can the Welsh hold that against the English folks that they got over, that they got further in an international tournament that England have in the past, since 1996.
Something I did actually want to ask you, chaps. With you all being, obviously, I'm a little bit older than you, so this is the first time that you guys have got to like a semi-final, because I was around for Euro '96 and World Cup '90.
I was 3 years old when Euro '96 happened.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I'm an old man. But like,
4 months.
And I remember my dad showing me pictures of Stuart Pearce, of course, screaming when he scored the penalty.
Yeah, against Spain. Yeah, which that was the last time he won the penalty shootout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Until obviously this past week. But like, how is it for you guys with the optimism now? Because normally, I'm not even being a bit of Welshman taking a shot. As in, normally England, it's been you're not used to getting this far. As in, you're not used to getting that optimism. How is that?
For me, what I said on the preview show a couple of weeks ago now, I basically said, if we got to the quarterfinals, then I'll be happy. And anything else after that is a bonus. So for me, even if we lose against Croatia on Wednesday, I'll still be happy with how the team's performed because I know that's going to have a knock-on effect into the quality of the Premier League as well. You think about how many of those players in the England squad all play for Tottenham, and how much of a strength that will have moving forward. You think about the pressure going on to Jordan Henderson coming back to Liverpool with Keita and Fabinho being there now, looking to retain his place in the squad after a decent World Cup. He's going to have that opportunity to do so.
So you've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek going back to be on Chelsea's bench,
going back to Chelsea. Go back to Chelsea. Hopefully with Sarri there, that's a worrying sign. That's a worrying sign, by the way, for Chelsea, because they've still got Conte in charge. It's a month between now and the end of the transfer window, and they haven't signed any players. It's really concerning for them. But elsewhere in the England squad, you've got You got Harry Maguire, we already mentioned, strong performances in England shirt, looking to potentially get a big move away from the team from Leicester. Trippier doing well for Tottenham.
Pickford.
Really coming to his own, probably one of the best right backs in the world right now. Pickford, showing that short goalkeepers can be amazing when it comes to amazing save. Take that, Courtois.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant, Pickford.
It is a sense of optimism, and hopefully it can carry on throughout the week, no matter what the result is against Croatia on Wednesday night. But, I think we're not going to get a better opportunity now than what we've got right now.
Especially when you look at, as a non-Englishman, a lot of it's easy to poke fun at England taking it for granted, but you look at it, you're never going to get an easier opportunity in this. Croatia are no mugs, of course, and neither are France or Belgium, but it's very doable.
Definitely not. Right, let's take a look at the semi-finals then. We start off with the France versus Belgium game taking place on Tuesday night, 7:00 kickoff. It is going to be quite an interesting game to say because Belgium really, I don't think they've got this far in the tournament since 1990 when they played against
86,
England.
86.
They got to the quarterfinal stages in 1990.
Yeah.
Or did they get to the semi-finals in 86?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, fair enough.
Yeah,
and of course,
Enzo Schifo.
yes. And of course, France were 2006 finalists, Zinedine Zidane's famous headbutt, and the 1998 World Cup winners themselves as well. So, 20 years on from that great achievement, France looking to get back to the final stages as well.
12 years today since the headbutt.
Oh, really? Oh, well, hopefully Zidane can stay away from, headbutting any, Belgium legends or whatnot to keep things clean and whatnot. But in terms of people missing and things like that, Sidibe is doubtful for France, but Matuidi turns to the squad after the suspension. Tolisso did really well in that game in the replacement, didn't he?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say he didn't surprise me as such, but I didn't expect him to have that much of an impact.
Yeah.
I thought he'd just come in and do a decent job, but they've got I don't know. I guess it's a bit of a selection headache in a way. I think Matuidi will come back in just because he offers a little bit more protection than Tolisso, and especially against Belgium. If the way that they played against Brazil, where they brought in Fellaini to go with Axel Witsel, which frees up De Bruyne, I think that Matuidi is going to be key to try to nullify that.
I think as well with France pushing forward, Matuidi being alongside Kante and that kind of defense will open up for Pogba to move forward as well. But other than that, Didier Deschamps shouldn't have any other problems. But in terms of Belgium, Roberto Martinez, Thomas Meunier is suspended after picking up his second yellow card of the World Cup in the 2-1 win against Brazil. Meunier, it's been a decent player for Belgium, hasn't he?
God, it'd be interesting what they do with that because a lot of times previously, because Belgium had this embarrassment of riches with 4 great centre halves. With going back a few years, you'd have Vertonghen, you'd have Alderweireld, you'd have Vermaelen, and you'd have who's the other one at the time? Oh, Company, of course. And they basically play all 4 as a back 4 with Vertonghen going to the left, Alderweireld going to right back. And so with Meunier being out, do they try and put Toby Alderweireld right back as a right wing back essentially, or I don't know. It's interesting what they do.
There was something on here, and I heard something on the Guardian's football podcast on the way in here that they were thinking about Carrasco playing him.
Oh no,
at the back.
no!
But that would be.
They played him left wing back for a couple of games, and he was abysmal. He was horrendous.
I think that would be one of those Roberto Martinez, I'm the smarter than you tactical decision. Like the other day when he said, "Oh, it's not won by the players on the pitch; it's won by the tactics made by the manager."
He's a ball.
And I'm like, yeah, let's see how you do against a team like France, really, that's been doing reasonably well in the knockout stages so far of the tournament.
He did. He won the FA Cup with Wigan and got relegated.
Ben Watson, super headache. Now plays for Nottingham Forest.
You got to remember he took Swansea up to the Premiership as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's got the achievement.
Brendan actually.
Wigan who took somebody up to the Premiership.
Wigan were already up at the time. Wigan went up with Paul Jewell. And it was Brendan, your boy Brendan, who took Swans up.
He's not my boy.
He's not my boy. You talked about Tielemans as well. Moussa Dembele. There's a couple of players that could easily get into this Belgium squad into the midfield. But we've already talked about how Chadley and Fellaini are all playing well in the team. So it's a bit of a selection problem really for Roberto Martinez, isn't it, Andrew?
I think just stick with what you've got. Stick with what worked against Brazil. Obviously, you need to make some changes with Meunier. That's a big interesting one. I don't know with that. I guess. I don't think Carrasco, he basically to me played himself out of the team.
Yeah.
And so I think now it's a case of, right, well, we need someone to come in. Let's bring you back. No, he's not been good enough. Look at other options.
Do you think it's going to be a change of formation then?
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll stick with what they've done. It's just a case of there's no real like for Meunier, so that's the tricky one. But I think, I mean, I'd love Moussa Dembele. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bring him in. I think you've got to stick with Witsel and Fellaini with De Bruyne in front of him, of them. And I think I'm the world's biggest Moussa Dembele fan. I think he's a stunning footballer to watch.
Yeah.
But there's not a place for him in this team at the moment. So I just stick as close as they can to what they did against Brazil. And I fancy them. It's again, we talked about it before. It's one of those where all 4 teams are left in the competition now. It's whether they turn up.
Yeah.
I think if both teams turn up to their full capacity, I do think Belgium have got enough to go through. But it's that stage of the World Cup, and with the 4 teams in it, Croatia and England as well, all 4 have got previous for bottle jobs, and it's just a case of who can get the most consistency.
Composed.
Yeah, that's it. Keeping composed, keeping consistent, and obviously a little bit of luck will come into it, and hopefully one of your match winners turns up.
The fine people who scored, but there are other statistical websites out there. If you do like your football statistics, we're not sponsored by them or anything like that. Have put their probable lineups up for 4-2-3-1 for France. Lloris in goal, Pavard, who had that fantastic goal against Argentina, Varane and Umtiti, your main man, Andrew, and Hernandez in the back 4. Pogba and Kante line up behind Matuidi, Griezmann, and Mbappe, with Giroud up top on his own. So that is a really strong French squad. To go against a Belgian team that has got, of course, Courtois in goal, with Chadley they predicted to play at right back to fill up in Meunier's spot. Anderveld, Company and Vertonghen, of course, the usual suspects make up the rest of the back 4. Fellaini, Witsel and Dembele in midfield, followed by Lukaku, De Bruyne and Hazard up front. Really, it's a to and fro between those 2 teams. They've both got the attacking options, but really, when you look at it in the defence, it can be a little bit shaky.
I don't know. I think Belgium have got far and away the better defence.
You think they got the stronger defence?
Yeah. Easy. I mean, I don't want to. He's turned into like the normally what John Henson to get, but I don't want to pick on him, Titty. But I don't rate him at all. I think at times he's embarrassing for a big, strong, quick lad. He goes down like a sack of spuds, should we say, a lot of the time, and he plays himself into trouble. He doesn't read the game very well. He's one of those where he can get away with making mistakes because he's quick and he's strong. I think Varane's brilliant, but other than that, across the Belgium defence, I think Varane's amazing, but the rest of the defence nowhere near as good as the Belgians. Although I on the flip side of that, I'd always go with Hugo Lloris over Thibaut Courtois.
Yeah. Joe, we've seen throughout the tournament with the French squad that they do have the strength and depth. Really, we saw it in the last game when they brought on Tolisso and replaced him with Matuidi after his suspension. Do you think that's going to be a big factor in this game for the French squad? Going up against the Belgium, really, where if say they had another problem in defence, they could be in real trouble, really, because they don't have that many players that can fill in and fill in that key role in defence.
Yeah, they have. Obviously, I thought they've got quite good strength and depth, but defensively, like as you pointed out, they haven't really. It's all attack, isn't it? The depth. I'm just trying to think who could fill in at the back if they had any trouble.
There you go. It's a difficult problem to solve.
Is Adil Rami in the squad this time out with all for him? Centre half.
I don't know.
He's a solid option, but. I don't know. I don't particularly rate the French defence myself, apart from Varane. But
it's not like you've got any midfielders that can drop in. It's just like with England, if they had a massive problem and all their centre backs got injured somehow, they could drop Dyer in there.
Yeah.
I just can't think of anyone.
No, I just loaded up the Brazil Belgium game now to take a look at the sub bench to see if there is any recognisable defensive names.
Oh, Belgium's on about. I thought you were France. Sorry.
No, not France. The Belgian defence really. Just looking at it, it had Mertens, Dembele.
Make it.
Sorry,
did Jordan Lukaku make it in the end?
I think he
squad.
did.
Yeah.
Boyata,
Biata's stopped a few games, so I think he'd be a sensible option to bring in if needed. But I think, kind of touching on what Joe said, I think France have got far better options in terms of attacking. To bring on.
Does Hazard play?
Thorgan Hazard. Hazard. No, he's kind of he's more of like a right-sided attacker, or number 10 he could play.
He's at Chelsea, isn't he?
No, Russian Gladbach, isn't he?
I thought he was on loan now.
Because I've been impressed with him. When he played against England, I thought he was very impressive.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Really good player.
This French team, basically, we already mentioned it. They didn't really get out of second gear against Uruguay.
No.
Are we expecting them to push even harder against Belgium then?
I don't know. It's because you can compare it. You can run it parallel a little bit to Brazil about how the Brazil team through the group stages they didn't get through out of second gear, and you expected them to push on, and then against Belgium they just got turned over and didn't turn up. So it's a case of France. I mean, I thought they had a great game against Argentina, but the last game they didn't really turn up. Is it a case of have they got any momentum going, or was it they just purposely took their foot off the gas because they were never really tested? I don't know. It's an interesting one, that.
Scoreline predictions, guys. You got France
2-0 Belgium.
2-0 Belgium. Oh, okay. Who do you really think then that the Belgium's defense can hang on then against this French attack?
I reckon they can, but
because that's quite a surprising prediction for a French team that's been brilliant.
The midfield,
right?
If they clog the midfield, they'll win by 2-0.
Right.
If they don't, it'd be more interesting, but I still think...
See, I find that surprisring that, Belgium will be able to keep a clean sheet against this French team that's got Griezmann, Mbappe,
I don't think Griezmann's had a great tournament. I don't think he's done anywhere...
He's still scoring goals.
He's still scoring goals.
But I think in
more
terms
than
of...
Sterling.
I'm not going to touch on Sterling, but I genuinely think that arguably the best centre-back pairing in world football is Vertonghen and Alderweireld. You throw in Vincent Kompany in there as well. I think the Belgians have got the best defence in the tournament. It's on paper.
We'll come to your prediction in a second.
Yep.
Joe?
2-1 France.
2-1 France. You liking... Oh, and Adam's shaking his head in rage. And pointing fingers as well. Stop pointing fingers, it's rude. What have we doing? Stop doing that.
I've got to go with the team that I predicted to win it before the tournament. I think, like I said, they've got a solid squad overall.
Yeah.
And their attack's just unbeatable.
Yeah.
You've got the three strikers, Giroud, and they said Giroud then. Griezmann and Mbappe, and Mbappe's pace is just going to cause so many problems for the Belgian defence. So, like we were saying about how solid they've been, but they've never really come up with anyone with that sort of pace. So
I just think they have to drop back.
If Hazard matches him, if he decides to go a bit defensively and try and go both ways, then I think Mbappe might struggle because he has the matching pace, I reckon.
I'm not so sure, but hey, we'll see. We'll
have to wait and see.
Tuesday night.
I think Belgium are going to win, and I've got a feeling it's going to be 2-0. I think the Belgian backline will sit deep to counteract for the pace, and I can see Lukaku absolutely bullying him to eat all day. It'll be 1-0 Belgium, then France will be going all attack, get caught on a counter late on 2-0 in the bag.
I think
Belgium.
I'm going to stick with Joe's prediction. I'm going to go for a 2-1 France win, and not just because I got them in my pub sweepstake. No, I honestly feel as if this French attack is going to be too much for this Belgian defence to handle. You really think about it, they haven't really came against a potent attacking force really so far in this World Cup, because when they played against England, all the rested players came on, and it was all players playing for the first time.
Brazil have got a decent attacking threat.
Yeah, but Neymar wasn't doing well at all this tournament. Yeah. You already mentioned about Gabriel Jesus and how he probably should have been sat for Firmino. So,
but like Griezmann, Neymar hasn't been playing well, but he's been scoring goals. Same as Griezmann.
Neymar hasn't scored that many goals. He's only scored 2, I think.
Yeah, how many's Griezmann got?
He's got 3 or 4.
3, is it? I thought it was 3 now, and one of those was a penalty. And one of those was deflected.
2 penalties and he scored.
Oh yeah, the second
penalty. But
you
can't really count Griezmann's goal against the last.
Why not?
Yeah,
because that was just pure fluke. A keeper should have paid.
I think it'd gone down as an own goal, but
I
still would have counted it as a Griezmann goal.
That was a Karius moment, that. Even worse than Karius.
Right, I'm going to... All right, we're splitting the room here. So me and Joe are going to go for France. Andrew and Adam are going to go for Belgium. We should have to wait and see after Tuesday night to see who will be in the final. Croatia versus England is, of course, the second semi-final taking place on the Wednesday night. Croatia, I don't think they've got too many injury problems other than what we just saw previously obviously about the fullback, Salko, potentially injured. But other than that, I think they should be pretty much strong going forward. Jordan Henderson and Vardy, according to Who Scored, have got a little bit of a knock and could be push and go. Of course, we know about Vardy. He had the injection before the Sweden game and unfortunately missed out on playing in that game. But hopefully be able to go. And it says here that Jordan Henderson's got a slight hamstring injury, but pretty much should be able to recover this time by Wednesday night. Kyle Walker, Dele Alli, Ashley Young, Fabian Delph's back after having his baby back in the UK with his wife, who he called a machine.
Yeah,
on the interview after the game.
I wasn't sure if it's a compliment or a bit of a negative.
She's a machine.
Yeah,
wow. Baby making machine. Nice
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, awful.
All right, probable lineups from Who Scored: 4-2-3-1 for Croatia. Sabacic in goal, Strinic, Vinda, Lovren, and that guy won't be playing because he's injured apparently. So I don't know.
I imagine Jedvac might come in.
I have no clue who that is, so I'll just take your word for it.
Brozovic
and Karatic in the midfield, Perisic, Modric, Rebic in the attacking midfield, and then Mandzukic up front on his own. England with the normal 3-5-2-1. Sorry, that's too many numbers there. 3-5-2.
That's how you're going to win. So bring on an extra player.
I mean, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's just sneak. Let's just sneak on.
Sneak on or do you reckon VR might just let it go?
No, it's not going to be seen. He's going to be like, he's going to be wearing a referee top. He's going to be feel like Yeah, I'm going to go away from the point now. Pickford in goal, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Trippier, Ali, Henderson, Lingard, Young, Kane, and Sterling up top. We've already pretty much mentioned that we don't really want any changes from this England squad. But Adam, what do you think is going to be the toughest test really for England against Croatia? I mean, Modric is a great player for both club and country, isn't he? He could be really tough
I was about to say
England to handle.
He's going to be the main threat.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't see too much of a threat, but that's if England turn up.
Adam's smacking his head in case you wanted to hear that sound effect.
This is why it always goes wrong for England, because other than that one player, there's no threat here. We're going to piss all over these.
If England turn up, if they don't turn up and they be their usual bottlers, then we have no chance.
I think there's more to this Croatia team than just Luka Modric. Luka Modric is one of the best midfielders in the world, but he's not the be-all and end-all for the team. I think there's a lot English to be worried about out of that team. Joe,
what are you thinking? You're sitting there very quiet.
Yeah, very pensive. He's collecting his thoughts here.
It's very hard, isn't it? It's going to be a hard game. It's going to be close, but I think England might just nick it. But that's obviously the proud Englishman in me being optimistic and hoping. Like Andy said, Croatia have got very talented players, well organised.
Do you think England really need to take a full advantage of how they've been doing well at set pieces in this tournament? I think it's 8 goals from 11 out of the goals that they scored. Do you think England should be focusing on that and really taking advantage of, how Harry Kane is and how Maguire is in the box and, looking for those guys and those opportunities and Stones as well?
I think we need to play the love train. If you don't do the love train, that's it. We won't go through.
I heard many names for that piece, the human centipede and all that.
It's worked. It works. You watching the Sweden game, every time England get a corner, you see that lineup of players in that line. You're thinking they're going to score. If someone's going to score, there's that much chaos, kind of calculated chaos in a way. But it's you fancy England.
But to be fair, that's happened so many times now. You'd think people might handle it.
No, it's hard. You can't predict where they're going to go, though. That's the thing. It's hard to predict who's going where.
How do you think Croatia is going to play against England?
Cautious. I think they'll first 20 minutes they'll just feel the game out. Hopefully England. Well, they hope that England won't get a goal, and possibly me too. But I think it'll be very cautious opening 20 minutes, and then Croatia will try and get a foothold. It's all about that midfield. We touched on it before. I think England, as it stands, if they stick with the exact same 11 that started the last game, I think they're going to get over on the midfield. But then you've got the conundrum of how do you counteract that? You have to, if you're going to try and change things, because John Henderson is key to this team and he needs somebody to help him out. But then you either have to drop Sterling, Ali, or Lingard. I think Lingard can win you a game. I think I've been really impressed with him again this tournament, as he's brilliant for Man United last season. Dele Alli has always got a goal in him, even if he sometimes doesn't offer as much. And Raheem Sterling was electric for Man City, but has been poor. Well, not poor, but he's not offered an end product. He's worked hard for the team. He's opened up space for others, but he's not an end product himself. So I think that's the biggest problem for England is how do you combat that Croatian midfield? And Hendo needs some help in there. Whether that's Eric Dyer, I don't think he's good enough to read the situations. I think if Eric Dyer comes in, he's probably the best option for it, I think, in terms of defensive minded. You've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's a bigger, more imposing player, but he's a different type of player. He's more attacking. So I think Eric Dyer will play, and I think that could cost England maybe.
If England score in the first quarter of an hour, I think that would set us up well, because they'll have to come out and attack.
That's the thing with the Croatians. Their midfield's brilliant, and they've arguably got the best midfield in the World Cup as a whole. You can make a good argument for that. I just think, going forward, there's not much. Kramaric, Mandzukic, Rebic. Perisic is good, but not good enough to influence things.
He's gone down, in my opinion, since the 2014 World Cup. Should have taken that move to United.
Yeah.
All right, Croatia in their first ever World Cup semi-final since 1998. England in their first ever World Cup semi-final since 1990. All to play for teams that haven't been in this stage of the competition for the first time in 20 years. England have scored 9 goals in the last 2 matches against Croatia. How's it going to go? Scoreline prediction.
This is going to pain me. I think England are going through the enthusiasm pouring out my being here. I've got a feeling it's going to go to extra time, and then just Croatia are going to be absolutely knackered from the previous 2 games they played, going the distance to extra time and penalties. I think England are going to win it in extra time. Yeah,
fair enough. Joe?
2-1. Another 2-1 semi-final, I think.
In regulation?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
England nick it late on.
Nice stuff.
I'm going to go for the same 2-1, but in extra time.
Okay. I'm going to go for 2-1 as well. I think they'll do it in regulation, so we're pretty much agreeing with the same people from last time. But one-word answers for us, guys. Who's going to win the World Cup? Who's going to win the World Cup, Joe? We'll come back to you. It's coming home.
That's Belgium. Not one word.
Well, I'll get
Belgium.
Belgium. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking Belgium.
We're agreeing as well. It's coming home, people. It's coming home. You gotta be in the mood for it. You gotta be in the mood for it.
We're gonna get to the final and I get beat.
We're gonna get in the mood for it in just a second. But my thanks for Adam, Joe, and Andrew for joining us. Myself, Conor Porter, on the Let's Talk Sports show here today on Calon 105 FM. We'll be back next week after the World Cup final has taken place, and hopefully we'll be celebrating it here. Us English people will be celebrating it here.
I forgot about that.
And then we'll have all the England songs on.
We've had them for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, but you've got to do it again.
Well, yes. Once more, thank you, Adam, Joe, and Andrew, for joining me and myself, Conor Porter, here on the Let's Talk Sports show today. We'll be back next week celebrating the World Cup and sharing our favourite moments and whatnot. And for some of us, it might be actually the final itself, because it's coming home, people. It's coming home.